Hey everybody, movie review next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time I saw On the Line. It's a 2022 thriller film directed by Romuald Boulanger. I don't understand how it's pronounced. From 2022, and it stars Mel Gibson, William Moseley, Aaliyah Soror O'Neill, Paul Spera, Kevin Dillon, and Nadia Perez. In this film, a provocative and edgy radio host must play a dangerous game of cat and mouse with a mysterious caller who's kidnapped his family and is threatening to blow up the whole station. So, what did I think of On the Line? Well, ended up checking this out because of um I saw it recommended by somebody I watch a lot, Rambo Rat for Life. And this is apparently a very divisive film. It gets about a 2.3 out of 10 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which isn't great. And a lot of people really don't like certain parts of this film. I guess I kind of understand, and I'll get into that. The whole review is going to be spoilers, but I'll have a spoilers section that I'll timestamp. But I really enjoyed this. I Again, it does have its issues. I don't find the ending to be an issue, and I'll talk about it. But the overall, I just really enjoyed it as a thriller, and I thought that it did some things that were kind of new. I enjoyed uh a lot of the decisions that were made in the making of it, and yeah. But let me get to the cast first. Mel Gibson plays Elvis Cooney. He's this DJ, this shock jock on the radio. I love Mel Gibson. I think it's been long enough that it's been over 2 decades, guys. Can we stop like hurling insults at this man who has apologized over and over and over for something you really didn't need to apologize about? Like we really need to stop this. Mel Gibson's paid his dues for what little he did anyways. There people like Diddy out there that we should actually be, putting in like making sure he gets what he deserves. And then Mel Gibson said like a couple words to his wife and an officer. Wow. But I love Mel Gibson as an actor. I've loved him in Braveheart, um, Lethal Weapon, Chicken Run, The Patriot, Dragged Across Concrete is my favorite performance of his so far. I would need to watch it again. But Mel Gibson is a fantastic actor and he's a great fucking director. And while again he's not directing this, his directing credits are pretty. Other than Flight Risks, a lot of people seem to like his films like Passion of the Christ, Hacksaw Ridge, Apocalypto. I do want to see Flight Risk though. Once it comes out on digital, I will watch it. But he actually gives a pretty good performance here. I think he sells this material even if he's a bit slow to start cuz like at the beginning of the film I was like, he's kind of fine cuz the reason most people would be like, "Oh yeah, this is just going to be another paycheck." Um Mel Gibson in the past few movies he's been in has been very not that he's bad in them, but he's barely in them, and he's in kind of paycheck roles like Bruce Willis, like uh, well, like kind of like Bruce Dern does too, where they're in the film for like 10 or 15 minutes, kind of like the Bruce Willis thing. Yeah, excuse me. And this time he's actually starring, which is cool. And he's genuinely moving around a lot. I was half expecting him to spend most of the movie in the DJ booth, just sitting down talking over the radio. Kind of in a way like What the hell is it called? Kind of like The Guilty or The Call with with the Call with Halle Berry is a good example. Um, where a lot of her time in the film is spent in this, like at least half of the film, she's in this 911 call center, and then she goes to save this girl by herself. And at least this film doesn't do that. Mel Gibson's moving around a lot, and he's genuinely pretty good in the film. He sells the tension of the scenes and everything, and I genuinely think he gives a really good performance here. Um, William Mosley plays Dylan. He's a new tech on board with this team. Um, I've seen a few movies with him. He's all right. So he's in the Narnia movies. Which I've only ever seen the first one. I don't remember hating it though. He was in Artemis Fowl, which I haven't seen. He was in Medieval with Ben Foster, which I still need to see. Uh, he was in a version of The Little Mermaid, apparently. The Courier. So the movie that made me think that he was probably not going to be that good in this was The Courier with Olga Kurylenko, with Gary Oldman, Dermot Mulroney, Emmett Shaw, which overall I thought was a decent enough action film. It had some cool stuff to it. Even though I wouldn't say I'd recommend it, I didn't mind it. Uh, him as a villain in that film was absolutely horrendous. He was awful. But here, he's a lot fucking better. And I would genuinely say I did really like his performance here as this like mild-mannered, like new guy. Like he does a great job with all the emotions and shit. Um, Alia Soror O'Neill plays Mary. She's kind of the like side host to the shock jock. She's fine. Nothing really stands out about her. Her whole point is kind of like just to be like have like a lot of sex appeal and whatever, which is fine. Paul Sparrow plays Gary, the caller that's got everybody hostage. Um I will say one of my small complaints with this film is I wish this guy was a bit more menacing. He has some weird, not great dialogue where he's trying to be kind of like the Joker, and I don't like Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker. From the little bits I've seen, I don't find his performance in that very good. So it kind of being copied here, I'm not huge on, but he's overall all right as a villain. Kevin Dillon plays Justin. He's like a another radio host that Mel wants his time. Mel's character wants his like time slot. Um, I I like Kevin Dillon. I've liked him in the things I've seen him in. He's apparently in the Delta Force with Chuck Norris at some point, but yeah, he's been in quite a few of these. He was in one of Mel Gibson's direct-to-video performances or movies, Hot Seat, where he is actually sitting in a seat the whole time. He's in Wire Room with Bruce Willis. Um, I think he does a decent enough job here. I wish he was in it a bit more. He has an actual like he gives off major character actor vibes, and I dig that. I like seeing character actors get big roles. Um, and Nadia Perez plays Sam Dubois. She's the owner of the station. She's all right, but I'd say her accent kind of makes it hard to understand what she's saying. And I'm used to her type of accent. It's just it's not her accent, it's the pronunciations. She's not amazing with the pronunciations. But yeah, I do want to talk about what I liked and disliked about this film before I go into spoilers because I do want to talk about the ending. Because a lot of people are going to say, like, oh, the ending makes no sense, whatever. And I want to explain why I think it does. So I will bring up a spoiler warning, and I'll timestamp it in the comments. just so everybody knows when it's gonna come up, and I'll show the poster on screen. But basically, what happens in this film is you have a shock jock. His family's being held captive by this guy who used to work there. Um, and um, yeah, he's basically got to follow all of his instructions to make sure that they're okay. It's something you think you've seen before. You've kind of seen before. This is apparently a soft remake of a movie from the 80s. Um, Directed by Oliver Stone. I'm not going to give away anything about the movie. I've never seen it. So it's apparently a soft remake of that and some French movie. There's some French movie that did this type of concept as well. Um, I don't know where this director's from, so maybe he's French. Le Grand Restaurant. I don't know. One thing I do want to comment on, this film looks really good. It's very well shot. It has some really cool shots in it, some nice, yeah, just really nice camera work. It looks very professional. This film had a bunch of producers. I think it had at least 20 to 25 producers to get the money they needed to make it. Uh, if so, I'm glad that it didn't really cut into like the actual like writing and filmmaking because the writing in this film is pretty tight. Um, the film has a really decent score by Clement Perrin. Uh, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I think the score is really good for the most part, and but at some points it gets a bit overbearing. Like it's trying a bit too hard to be like super big Hollywood score, and it's in the moments it goes that far, I don't think it really works that well. Um, the tension in this film is genuinely fantastically done. The tension for the most part, other than like a couple moments, which I will mention in the cons, the tension is kept up for pretty much most of the hour and 44-minute runtime. Um, the again, Mel Gibson is genuinely really good in this film. Uh, one of the better performances I've seen from him so far, but again, I've only seen like a tenth of his filmography. He's been in a fuck ton of movies. He's had at least 100 roles. Um, Again, also William Mosley. I have to again give him credit. He's genuinely good here. He's doing really good with the tension, with the acting like he's scared thing. I really like it. Um, and again, this whole concept being done in a bit of a different way does make it feel a lot fresher. It could have just been a run-of-the-mill thriller with the ending everybody's expecting, but the twist in this film, I genuinely think, adds to the film and makes it a lot more interesting. And I feel like on a rewatch, it would be very cool to like look in there, like try to look into more of it. Um, in terms of like what do certain things mean, uh, and hints at the ending. Um, for cons, I would say there were a couple small bits where I was like, this could be cut or cut. Like, this film could be trimmed down by like 5 or 6 minutes. There's one bit involving a numbers game that I thought was genuinely kind of fillery. It didn't really add much to the tension. I thought it was pretty obvious what was going to happen and exactly what I thought would happen happened. And also I feel like we don't get to learn too much about the other members. Like, even though I think William Mosley does a good job in his performance, I don't know much about his character. You could say that might be by design. Um, but yeah, I know barely anything about the one guy working for them. Uh, Steven, I don't know much about Sam, the owner of the station. I don't know much about Justin other than he's fighting with Mel Gibson's character, and I don't know much about Mary, uh, other than a revelation that happens during the whole hostage thing. But that's about it. So I would say some of the characters are a bit underdeveloped and don't have much to them. Um, what else? I again, the villain, the actor playing the villain could have been a bit more menacing. He's kind of doing a like, kind of like in Run Hide Fight, where the main school shooter in that was kind of doing his Joker impression. At least that made sense because he thinks he's being more menacing than he actually is. But in this film, it's adults, and it I don't think that kind of performance really works here. Um, but yeah, um, let me. Shit. I'm trying to type down the number. So, spoilers. I'm going to be talking about the ending, but again, I would definitely recommend this film. It's on Netflix currently, so go and watch it there. So, the ending. So, what's been happening this entire movie is this guy has been holding these people hostage and, well, is holding the main character's wife and daughter hostage. And then near the end of the movie, you get to this point where uh, he gets in there, he's got a knife to the guy's throat, and he says, you can uh, either the wife and daughter have the explosive jackets on the top floor, or he puts names in a hat and draws that Dylan, I think that's his name. Yeah, Dylan will put him on instead, and the SWAT guy comes down, puts them on him, and arms them. And then basically the guy freaks out and he drops the dead man switch that he has finger on, but nothing happens. Cut to an outside shot looking into the radio booth, and everybody but Dylan starts laughing. And it turns out this entire thing um, was one of Elvis Cooney's pranks because that's what the station is known for doing. A lot of people who work for them, uh, they a lot of people that work for them, like the newbies, they play a prank on them to like get them accustomed to working at the station. And everybody had it set up. Like everybody that died so far in the film didn't actually die. There's like a social media guy that Elvis said earlier on it didn't make it because he was filming something else, and it turns out this is what they were filming. So pretty much every bit in this film where a character has been looking distressed when nobody could see them, since this is fake, the live streamer has been filming all of the cameras, and he has hidden cameras set up to or he's got access to the footage, the security footage, for his channel to, post this prank. So I think in this reveal they covered their bases pretty well in terms of explaining what was fake, what was real, and for the most part, like getting it down to the point where it's like, okay, this is believable for me. A lot of people hate this ending. It's not the end of the ending, but this far, I'm like, yeah, nothing's really popping out as like unrealistic or anything. And then Dylan, seemingly shocked, barely is moving. He's like not even crying, he's shocked. And he like starts walking away as they say, like, are you going to join the team? And then he ends up falling backwards down the stairs and hitting his head. And then the girl goes and checks and she's like, he's dead. So then I was like, oh, it's doing this like kind of bummer ending thing. And then, and then, as she is, well, as he's going outside to like go home until the cops need him, apparently. He's brought into the car of the station owner, who's like, "How dare you? You knew your pranks were gonna go so far. You killed him." And then she says to listen to the radio and face what you've done. And then the radio station says, "Happy birthday, Elvis." And then look who's in the front seat of the car, Dylan. Dylan wearing a hat, and he starts singing Happy Birthday. And apparently, the prank this time was pulled on Elvis. Elvis didn't know about this part of the prank, and that Dylan is actually another guy from Britain who's a stuntman. So he faked that fall down the stairs and made him think that he killed him. And yeah, I genuinely like this twist a lot. I know a lot of people think it ruins the entire movie. A lot of people are saying that this movie's boring without it, or that the ending twist just destroys all credibility. I don't think so. I think it does something a bit different. Unlike a lot of movies where the twist at the end is like, oh, some poor innocent person is like getting their comeuppance or something, or is getting pranked by this. Here, there's no real victims, and if anything, the victim here is Elvis. So yeah, I think it's interesting that the whole prank was like him thinking he's in control and uh and just getting it reversed on him. I thought the twist was very neat, and yeah, about all I have to say on it. But yeah, definitely. Since the spoilers are over, um I definitely recommend people watch this if they haven't clicked off already. If you stayed through the spoilers and you haven't seen this film, I guess it's spoiled for you now. But yeah, definitely really enjoyed this film. I'm glad I did finally see it. And yeah, that was my review of On the Line. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door, out.